That was not a panel. That was the event to go to if you were at San Diego Comic-Con, especially if you were an X-Men fan. Boom, what's up, familia? Dayspring here with an episode of Power of X-Men where we are going to react to Hasbro's panel at San Diego 2025. Oh my goodness. I have been collecting Marvel Legends since 2002, back when I was in high school with Frosted Tips. Never have we had such reveals before. I mean, anyone who's saying there's superhero fatigue, anyone who's saying that the Legends line is dead, absolutely not. These reveals were next level. Oh my goodness, familia. Now, there were other characters, other teams other than the X-Men discussed. For all intents and purposes for this channel, we are just going to be discussing the X-Men reveals because a lot of these figures were highly anticipated. We, of course, did report on these in the fall that these figures were coming down the pipeline, but it's something about seeing the reveal, seeing them. Oh my goodness, I was losing my mind. I literally was trembling when I was trying to upload these photos. First of all, they were going so fast through the reveals. I couldn't keep up. A, but B, I was just so excited to see them because our fandom right now, we've taken a hit with the comic books. You know, there's conversations about the superhero films, although Fantastic Four just came out to really great positive reviews. But there's just so much out there regarding the MCU, Marvel in general, that it's just great to have a home run, not just a win, but a home run. And that's what this panel was. So why don't we get into it? I want to give a special shout out to MCU Collector 24 and Toy Shiz because they were reporting on the panel live as it was happening. I'm not one who usually gets FOMO. I'm like, I don't know if I want to go to San Diego this year. And I got a couple of invites to things, and I was like, well, I would have loved to have done that. But the thought of being on a con floor for like 5 days, traveling to the West Coast, which is a 5.5 hour, 6 hour flight, you know, spending so much money on hotel, and then being on a con floor, I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. But I got to tell you, this year, I have major FOMO when it comes to San Diego Comic-Con. So, my goodness, even though that Marvel MCU news isn't going to be coming out of it, it's still showing to be what a great time. It feels like how San Diego Comic-Con used to be back in the day before all the big MCU reveals. So, very, very jealous that I'm not at San Diego Comic-Con, and I'm not one to be like, oh, I'm suffering from FOMO. Anyways, that's it. Why don't we dive into these reveals? Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. So we got an X-Men 97 Wave 3, and the first figure that was revealed a couple of days ago was Morph. Now, they had Morph with their normal hair and face, kind of like the one that we saw back in X-Men, the animated series, except updated a little bit to have the X-Men 97 vibe. We got alternate heads, just like the original 5-inch Toy Biz Morph alternate heads, which the chef kisses on all that. One is the white head that Morph now sports, and that's their Exiles head from the comics. We spoke with Scott Lobdell about this head. The idea of this head is that Morph has been so traumatized that they're down to just like the butt of an eraser, right? There's nothing left for them. They have been so consumed by their trauma. So that's why we have that head like that. The other head is Henry Gyrick. I mean, I cannot believe we have Henry Gyrick in Marvel Legends format with the aviator reflective sunglasses. Oh, looks so good. Already thinking about which character I can pop that head onto because Henry Gyrick is one of those menacing characters in the X-Men universe that I never thought we were going to get a Marvel Legends of, but here we are. We have his head. Comes with Morph. I think Morph looks good. I think this Morph looks better than the VHS Morph. Now, that's not to say that the VHS Morph doesn't look a bit more grittier, like one that you can actually put into your main wave comic book X-Men display. Because this figure, and we've talked about this with the X-Men 97 figures, they tend to look a bit more cartoony. This looks a little cartoony to me, but that's fine. I think the white head, I'm curious if that is going to be able to go on to the Age of Apocalypse Morph figure we have. I would be really interested in that. Another thing that I find really interesting is that they are in their standard X-Men costume when the rest of the figures in this wave are the costumes they got later on. Well, wait, is that true for Cable? Let me just see. Yeah, well, no, Cable is actually in in his default costume. Okay, so Cable is in his default costume. That's his standard X-Men costume, and Morph is in their standard. I'm surprised that we didn't get Morph with the Exiles inspired costume that we got later on in '97. Okay, but anyways, Morph, I think they look great. They were revealed 2 days ago, or was it yesterday? Absolutely happy with that character. No qualms whatsoever. Next up is the goddess herself, the survivor of Genosha, the I always do well under pressure, Emma Grace Frost. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Now, you know, we know Emma surviving Genosha in the comics, in Grant Morrison's comic, leads to her joining the X-Men in her iconic new X-Men era and gives rise to the character in comic books. And that's why she is now an A-list X-Men, was because of the work. I mean, Scott Lobdell had her on Generation X, but it was Morrison propelling her to A-list status. I think there are good things for Emma on the horizon for X-Men '97, and I can't wait to see how that unfolds. So the fact that we're getting a Marvel Legends of her, oh, I am so incredibly happy. She is in her inner circle costume, which, her original voice actress was interesting. I'll be honest with you, I don't love the new voice actress we have for Emma, but that's fine. Listen, Emma serves. And here she is serving. She has two heads and alternating hands. One set of hands where she's going to be able to do her psychic pose, her telepathic pose. But she has her standard bob, which is what we've seen in the X-Men animated original show and the '97, and then we have her with her windswept hair, which she looks so good. I'm curious to see. I'm gonna have to like hold this figure and see, compare her to the Hellfire box set, if it's the same mold. But this already looks like it was improved upon. I mean, her heels, if they can replicate the technology that we got for Astonishing Emma, where you can just put her on the desk and she doesn't tumble over, she can just stand. God bless the fine folks at Hasbro for nailing that technology, because the White Queen Emma from the Hellfire Club box that just topples over, this looks great. And look, she has her red ruby brooch right there on her fur collar, which is such a hallmark of the character in X-Men the Animated Series. She looks good. The thing about her here, as compared to Morph, she does not look cartoony. She does not look like she came from the animated series, whereas Morph, they look more like they are part of an animated wave. We talked about this with the Wave 2 of X-Men '97, where you had some characters that sort of blended into a larger collection, and others where you're like, yeah, this is a cartoon inspired figure. As much as I absolutely adore Executioner, you can tell that he's more comic book versus, the Magneto there, where he looks a bit more like he can go into your mainstream collection. Anyways, Emma, I think, can easily go into your mainstream, especially with the windswept hair. Look at that face. Holy frack. Look at that face. My goodness. Hasbro, whatever awards they give out for toys, Hasbro's getting it for this Emma. Next up, we have Sunspot, which looks animated So I'm sorry to say that, but I love his power effects. And it looks like he comes with power effects and an alternate hand, but it's going to be the just one head. Listen, we love Guy, the voice actor of Sunspot, and this is just so Guy right here. You can just feel that energy bombulating off of the figure, because Guy brings so much to that character. He looks great. Again, looks cartoony. I would have loved to have put him in like a New Mutants collection. Listen, to the normies who come by your house, they're not going to know the difference, but we will. He looks so good. He looks so good. I am so happy with this figure. I mean, just look at that coy smile. Look at his hair. He looks like he popped out out of the series. He is in his standard uniform, which he got later on in the series. He looks great. There were photos of him early on in San Diego, like 2, 3 years ago, where they showed him in a different costume. I believe it was, oh gosh, I'm ranking my brain here, but I believe it was more the New Mutants once they stopped having the generic uniforms costume. The one with him wearing a mask. I would be curious if that's what we're going to see for him next. I wonder if that was the original intent for this figure and they just switched it to this. He looks great. Is that artwork new with him like that with the standard uniform? Because I don't remember seeing that promo image. I could be wrong. I also don't remember seeing on the packaging Gene in that Jim Lee pose. I don't remember seeing that image either floating around. Sunspot looks great. Sunspot looks great. Absolutely no qualms with Sunspot. Jubilee. Here we go, Jubilee. And it looks like what they did here was take that original artwork that we got for X-Men 97 and just give her new costume. This is, of course, her vampire costume in the comics, which in X-Men 97, she got it on a shopping trip with Sunspot. Head sculpt looks great. I love that she comes with a soda. Those power effects. My goodness. Jubilee, these power effects are incredible. I love those power effects. I would have preferred her to have been in her 90s costume. Of course, we have gotten already several figures of Jubilee in her 90s costume. The Caliban Wave, the VHS. It is okay that we're going to get a different version of it. If I was on the Hasbro marketing team, I would totally have done this. She's coming with a lot of power effects, interchangeable hands, and one head. So this is just her standard head. And wonder if we can pop this head off and put it on the VHS body, because that would be my standard Jubilee. She looks, this photo that I'm seeing of her on Toy Shiz at the time of this recording, I'll probably be overlaying the official images, but the face that I'm seeing here, this looks great. This looks like it can fit into your mainstream collection. I have no qualms with this figure whatsoever. She looks so good. The thing about Jubilee, that when you're making a figure about her, she needs to look mischievous, and that's exactly what she is here. She is Jubilee is a Bart Simpson of the X-Men. Don't forget, when she first debuted, the Simpsons were on the upswings. Don't Have a Cow Man is basically Jubilee for the X-Men in the 90s, especially in the comic books. Anime series, well, no, I think in the anime series she did have that Don't Have a Cow persona. Anyways, she looks good. So great. I just have a smile on my face. I just have a smile on my face. And we have civilian Wolverine. Which, every time I see Wolverine in his civilian form from X-Men, the animated series, especially with the leather jacket and the shearling collar, it's just going to take me back to a time. He comes with cards. I'm forgetting where that is a reference to. Are those Gambit's cards? I'm forgetting right now off the top of my head where these cards are coming from. But he comes with cards, alternate hands, and claw hands, as you would expect. He looks great. This is another figure that came from the Toy Biz era. Back in the day, it was a great figure to have. It's going to evoke all those memories. He also looks like he can go into your mainstream collection. Him and Jubilee look good. They look like they would be so wonderful in your mainstream collection. So if you want to pose a civilian Wolverine, go for it. I will say, I think the Wolverine that we got in the Sabretooth 2-pack, where he's in a civilian form with the cowboy hat, that is like a mic drop Wolverine figure. This one looks equally as good, but with the idea that it's from X-Men 97. All right, next up is Cable, and he's in his standard X-Men the Animated Series costume. It's not the one that he got later on, which is the Marvel versus Capcom. Obviously, that originated in the comic books first, but to conceptualize it in your head, it's not the blue costume for Marvel versus Capcom. I'm okay with this. First of all, I'm always going to be a sucker for the shoulder pads. I love shoulder pads. I love his telecommunicator on his head. I love the big old guns. I mean, he goes with multiple guns and blast effects for those guns. Sold. I'm buying like 800 of these. This figure looks so good. I cannot believe that this figure exists. Cable was my favorite part of X-Men 97. I think it was so heartbreaking, that moment where he sees Madeline right before Genosha is destroyed, and he was trying to save her, and he goes, "I'm so sorry, Mom." Oh, My goodness. And when he has that final moment with Scott and Jean before Asteroid M is about to hit the Earth and the X-Men stop it, beautiful. Cable carried a lot of emotional weight. This figure looks so good. I love the time traveling fugitive angle of this character. He was inspired by the Terminator. Rob Liefeld has discussed that at length. This figure is probably my favorite. I will give it to Cable and Emma. Those are the two from these reveals that I love more than anything. Cable in particular, I think it's just such a beautiful figure. I cannot wait to hold this figure in the palm of my hands. He does look cartoony though. He's not going to blend in as easily. Maybe let's see how he looks with the rest of X Force, which we are going to discuss later on. But let's see how he looks there. Very happy with this figure. Very, very happy. I mean, it's fucking Cable. God damn. It's Cable. So excited for this figure. He looks great. Chef's kiss. The gun in particular. Oh my goodness. The details on the main gun, the big gun. Oh my goodness. So great. So great. All right, so the entire wave will be up for pre-order on 7/26, which is tomorrow, starting at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, available everywhere. You better believe we're going to pre-order all of them. If I had to rank them, again, Cable and Emma are number one for me, followed by Jubilee and Sunspot. Morph is a great figure. No qualms with Morph. In terms of quality, Morph is up there, but it's a stacked wave with my favorite characters. And of course, the last one, sadly, would be Civilian Wolverine, but this is not at all a criticism on how these figures look. So, of course, we had reported on those figures. We knew they were coming for a while. But what we didn't know, which was a genuine surprise, were a series of 2-packs, in specific 3. And the first one was shirtless Gambit and Rogue as they were playing basketball. I have never wanted a box set. I have never wanted a 2-pack as much as I want these two right now. First of all, it looks like they came straight out of the X-Men 97 episode, which I believe was the debut episode of them playing basketball, which of course was inspired by Jim Lee. Back in the day, the 90s Jim Lee run, and they're wearing the same exact outfits that they do. Well, Gambit's not wearing an outfit, he's just shirtless, but it's the same. And of course, in the animated series. All right, and my microphones just died, so apologies in the change in audio because I literally lost. I sent so much energy into the world for this Gambit and Rogue 2-pack, which looks incredible. Familia, I mean, look at Gambit's torso. Not that we're being thirsty here, we would never be thirsty here on Power of X-Men, but my goodness. And it comes with the basketball. The figures come with the basketball. They look so good. And of course, so many people have wanted a first appearance Storm from X-Men 97, her goddess outfit, as well as a brown costume Wolverine. I was hoping we would get Wolverine with his adamantium sort of like coming out of his skin. Is that a little dark and twisted, right? Very Fatal's attraction. But even so, we're happy Wolverine comes with an alternate head and obviously alternate hands with the pop claws. Storm is very interesting because I saw so many people wanting this X-Men 97 first appearance goddess Storm with her, her first appearance costume. We got one back at the start of the pandemic. Maybe I want to say 2020. Yeah, 2020, like fall 2020. She was a Target exclusive. She came with a Thunderbird accessory and it was a peg warmer. No one picked up this figure, and it's a great figure. But this figure was like a peg warmer, and I remember, like, I tried to get her for the initial pre-orders, couldn't, so I had to get her from somewhere else. And then at my local Target, which is the Jersey City Target, she was just a peg warmer, and this is when we could start going out again after lockdown. So it wasn't like there was no one there, and I was just the moron going to Target. I mean, Target was full. People were making supply runs. It was just there. So I believe she was even on discount. So I'm shocked that we are getting her again. But even so, listen, it's a great figure. We love Storm in X-Men 97. She finally was given the spotlight and story she deserved. And I am glad to see her here with an alternate head. She has her windswept hair too, as well as just sort of like a resting hair. It doesn't look like either have her eyes. It's just a whited out eyes to signify her powers are in usage. But she looks good. Absolutely no complaints. She still has the same power effects that that Storm had. I think the fingers are translucent, which is really interesting. Her fingers are translucent with the electricity, whereas I believe the other one wasn't. The effect wasn't as pronounced. But great Storm, great Wolverine, picking this up too. And of course, Scott and Jean in their, not their original costumes, but in their Dark Phoenix costumes that came at the end of X-Men 97. They're posing them in Dark Phoenix here, even though this pose never happened in X-Men the Anime Series when they were doing the Dark Phoenix saga. We still did not even get this pose of them. But there's Cyclops again, with the cap, and he looks good. It's a giant size X-Men era Cyclops back when they got their new uniforms right before the giant size team, excuse me. And then, of course, Jean in her Marvel Girl costume with an alternate head. This looks better than the Krakoan Jean that we got in the same green dress. She looks great. This is her third time in Marvel Legends format in this costume. Yeah, because we have the 2-pack with Cable that came out back. It was a true exclusive back in the dark days of Marvel Legends. I want to say like 2008, 2009. And then we got the Krakoan era Jean, where everyone was complaining about her because she was smaller than the rest of, Jean figures out there. And you can tell that her feet were actually Moira's feet, just painted, with the yellow boots. And now we have this one, and she looks good. That alternate head, where her hair's kind of like windswept again. That's our word here, windswept, but her hair's kind of like moving. And that, of course, is inspired by the scene of her and Storm right before they go into battle. She looks great, and I love how her hair rests on her shoulders because that was our first indication that she could have been Madeline. I mean, at this point, we knew Madeline was her own character and Madeline's dead, but I love that little flourish in design that was given from the production team. Anyways, these will be available sometime for pre-order in August or September. Okay, and that wraps up X-Men 97, but what we also got was the announcement of a Target exclusive Australian Outback era Storm, which reminds me so much of that original 5-inch Storm we got back in like 1991, where the lightning bolt on her chest lights up. Here she is. It looks like it's an improvement from the other versions of Marvel Legends Storms that we have gotten in her white costume and the black costume. So she looks great. New cape design. It doesn't look like it's attached to her hands like the other figures are, but it looks like it's a cape coming from the back. And we have David Nakayama art. She has the lightning effects on her fingertips as well. So nothing new. It looks pretty standard, to be honest with you. But again, Storm is such a popular figure. Storm is such a popular character that just getting another Storm figure, especially in a costume we haven't seen yet in Marvel Legends format, is absolutely paramount. Outback era, you know where my mind's going to go. Are we also going to get a Psylocke down the line? Would love a Psylocke. I believe we did kind of call this figure, or we called that a Storm figure was coming, not because we had any insider tea, but because of the packaging art where it showed a Storm. No one discussed it. No one seemed to care, but here she is. And I'm sure the internet is going wild for this. Everyone wants this figure. Everyone wants a Storm figure. We're so excited to see the Storm figure. But of course, the big reveals are a Wolverine from World War II. Just joking. Although he looks great. No shade at all. We love Wolverine here. He's carried the franchise. So good on Wolverine. But the other final two reveals are figures we have wanted for such a long time. And, we reported that they were coming in the fall, we reported that they were coming down the pipeline. They are going to be probably part of a comic book wave. We know for sure Rachel's part of a comic book wave because they seemingly indirectly confirmed it because they show her with a comic book. But yes, I already spoiled it. Farrell and Rachel. Farrell looks like she is coming out of a Rob Liefeld X-Force comic. I mean, they even pose her in that iconic pose of her jumping out of the panel. So excited. Her face looks great. She is a perfect amount of orange. I will say that I think her costume is a bit too purpley, and I wanted it to be hot pink, like Flink always says, the hot pink cat lady. It should be more of a hot pink, but that is okay. We are not gonna be nitpicking a photo of an on-screen photo broadcasted via YouTube, right? Like it. We'll wait for the final product. Let's see how the final product looks like. But Pharaoh looks great. It doesn't look. I'm sure she'll have alternate hands. I don't know if she'll have an alternate face. The shots we're seeing right now at the time of this recording, it's just one head, one Pharaoh looking head. So she looks great. Her tail looks like they solved the conundrum of her tail. Her costume looks so good. I am very excited for this. And bringing us home is, of course, Marvel Legends Rachel with a hound head and a standard depowered head. I would have liked a third head. This is almost perfect. Almost, I'm so sorry to say it like that. It was almost perfect. If we would have just gotten a powered up head, I would shut up. I would not have anything to say. But listen, it's fine. Beggars cannot be choosers, and we know the situation with the economy. So the fact that we are getting Rachel Summers, although they say Rachel Summers and in parentheses Dark Phoenix, Rachel Summers has never been Dark Phoenix. Rachel Summers has always just been Phoenix. And in fact, the big thing is that Rachel never goes dark when using the Phoenix. In fact, she becomes Mother Ascani. So she becomes an all-knowing, battle-worn warrior who is able to fight Apocalypse and take care of her family. So quite the opposite of Dark Phoenix. But Rachel looks so good. Exactly what I wanted. The Phoenix power effects clipping onto like as wings on her arms. That is exactly what I wanted. And her hound costume and the little spikes on her costume, and they're actual spikes. She does come with a little comic book, a little Excalibur comic book. So there you go. She's going to be part of another comic book wave 2, which is what we have sort of reported on and heard from some of our sources in the back. But we got Rachel and Farrell. I cannot believe we live in a world with Rachel and Farrell. I mean, I want you to, this is years, decades in the making. Last time we got a Rachel figure was the End of Grace Rachel, which was very anime looking. Oh, she did not look good. A lot of us have been kit bashing it with the Dark Phoenix body and the retro Black Widow head. Hate it. Never liked it. I hate doing that because for me, it's Black Widow wearing a Dark Phoenix costume. This is Rachel Summers as she appears in Excalibur, the one version of the character we all unanimously agreed as a fandom that we wanted. We wanted Rachel as a hound. Not to say that we don't want other iterations of her, but if we had to have one, it was going to be the hound. Look at her green eyes. Look at her mullet. She looks so good. This is the Rachel Summers from Excalibur. This is the Rachel Summers we wanted. Again, the Phoenix effects look great. Again, if I'm going to be nitpicking, I in my head, I conceptualize them a bit less like the Alan Davis art and more like translucent. But listen, again, these are minor grievances. Not having a flamed on head and translucent Phoenix wings, I'm going to shut the fuck up because absolutely not. She looks great. As always, we'll hold the figure and we'll decide. All right, Familia, you tell us how you feel about these reveals. Are you excited? Drop your feels below and we will chat as a community.